some totally random person that we had never heard of before was like, "Hey, you guys just played a song. I missed the name. I missed the name of the song and the band name. I think you said something about this is like the most tangible evidence that you could possibly get that someone heard you on the radio and liked you. Like it's like a Shazam, you know?"
Good stuff. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So my name is Adam, by the way, and this is a podcast about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new EP you have coming out.
Yeah, sounds great to
like
me.
A plan.
Cool. Stacey, what kind of mic is that? Is that a Neumann?
Yeah, we have the exact same mic, Kaylin and I. 103 TLM.
Oh,
Yes.
there you
Good
go.
stuff, good stuff.
We convinced ourselves that this was the one specific thing we, for some reason, needed to move forward as a band.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid choice. Is
Yeah,
that
you know, if you're gonna,
mic, or is that they make like a dynamic mic too now, I think.
yeah, they make a whole bunch. They're pretty well stocked up for sure.
Right. Very cool. Yeah, I was wondering why your guys' audio sounds so great, and then it's like, oh, now it makes sense.
I catch it.
Right.
Rad. Awesome. Well, okay, so we'll talk about. Let's start with you, Stacey. Where were you born and raised?
Born in Korea.
Wow.
Raised in Vancouver. So I mean, I came here when I was like 3, so I'm not actually sure. I can never say I was raised in Korea, even though that would be cool. But raised in Vancouver.
Okay. What took your parents to Vancouver?
I don't know, a bunch of things. Just I think Canada has I don't know. I think that there was a bit of like a Canadian dream thing happening there for them when we moved here, but I haven't actually gotten into the specifics of it with them, funnily enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just live
That's
there
my
till you're
guess.
3. Move to Vancouver. Is that what you said?
Best
Vancouver.
guess. Yep.
Very cool. And what was it like growing up there?
Growing up in Vancouver, I mean, it was kind of like growing up anywhere else. I have zero memory of the transition from Korea to Vancouver, so I can't even really say with any certainty of any kind of difficulties I had
Sure.
growing up with that. But yeah, good growing up here. I actually grew up mostly in North Vancouver, so more of the suburban area. So not too much of the city life until I was a bit later in high school.
Okay. Very cool. Kaylin, where did you grow? Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Toronto, and then moved just like outside the suburbs a little bit to do the growing up bit of it. So I grew up in Burlington, which is the least interesting part of the GTA of the general Toronto area. It's the number one thing people know about Burlington is that when you bring it up is either, oh, my grandparents live there, or it's that's where the IKEA is.
You have an IKEA. That's solid though.
Exactly. So we do have an IKEA. If nothing else, I did get to grow up with an IKEA, which is great. So yeah, that's pretty much there's not much to share about Burlington.
Pinnacle of the Burlington economy, IKEA.
Yeah. And you grow up, you're raised to eventually work in the Burlington IKEA. Yeah.
But I mean, you guys are so far apart, right? I mean, you're nearly East Coast, right, in Toronto, and Vancouver's way West Coast.
Way West Coast.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I interviewed somebody earlier today that was in Edmonton, or Calgary area, and so I learned quite a bit about the geography. And the one question I was like, well, how long would it take you to get to Toronto? He's like 40 hours driving. I'm like, oh my gosh! So
Canada is huge.
You two are nearly
way bigger than
40 hours drive apart. So I'm curious to know how you met, but we'll get into your real quick backstories of each of you. So, Kaylin, how did you get into music? Is your family musical at all?
Not at all. Actually, maybe that's not cutting them enough slack. They're casually musical, but like not. The story my dad always likes to tell is that he tried to take music, he tried to get into it, and he tried to play trumpet. And his music teacher in 9th grade told him he'd give him a 51 if he promised to never come back. So that's not where it came from.
At 51%, that's still an F, right?
51%. It's one pass. I don't know what the grading system is in America, but hey, 50. Below
51
50 is a failure. 51, you're
51,
in the
you're
clear.
solid. Okay.
51, that's a D minus, and that's something that you don't ask
it's a bit
questions about.
different. I like that though. Yeah, you have to have at least a 60, I believe, to not be failing anymore.
Gotcha. But
So you got a
yeah,
51, asked never to come back, and then that
yeah,
was it.
and then I came into the fold somewhere. I think I just liked music. I just liked music a lot. I started playing guitar lessons when I started taking guitar lessons around 13. Had the most casual, wonderful, laid back guitar teacher. I stopped taking lessons because he moved across the world and then moved across the world again. So that's the kind of dude he was. He was really cool. And he just basically for like 3 years was like, here, you can learn some basics and some theory, but you want to just jam? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's sort of how I fell in love with it.
What drew you to guitar originally?
What drew me to guitar? It was the first one that I looked at and went, I think I could figure out how to play that.
Okay.
I bet if you press down on those strings and you do something with your other hand, I bet you that's how that makes a noise.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet, and I was right. So
there you go. Well, let's get over to you then, Stacey. How did you get into music? Was your family musical at all?
Yeah, actually. My dad was in a rock band in Korea, growing up.
That's
really,
awesome.
really cool. Unfortunately, like we haven't been able to find any recordings of it. I have a few pictures, really, really cool pictures of him playing like house shows and stuff. So I think that's probably where I got it from. And my mom is it's funny because I feel like my dad was very much like the in practice musician, whereas my mom was very much the theory musician. She is like a whiz at piano, and I am not, but my sister is. So it's kind of become a bit of a funny split where I'm kind of leaning more towards my dad, where I play to play basically, and my younger sister, she is like a piano prodigy, just insanely good, could sight read anything.
Wow.
Put it in front of her and she'll be able to sight read it, which I don't think I'll ever be able to do. So that's kind of where that came from. And then in terms of actually making music, that I think that just kind of started naturally happening. As you grow up, you kind of realize you listen to songs that you really like and you say, oh, wait a minute, people made this, which means that I can also make this. So maybe I should try it. And then I think, in grade 12, wrote an EP with a high school friend, Josh. And that's kind of where it all started.
Really? And what was the first instrument you learned? Did you try to play piano?
Violin, actually.
Violin.
Violin. Okay. Yeah. I play a lot of instruments, none of them with any like mastery, but a bit of a jack of all trades with that.
Okay. And what were you doing in the band that you released the EP?
I was just singing mostly.
Just singing. Okay.
I had just figured out. I just learned that I could sing. In 2012, I learned I could sing. Because I never tried before, like never bothered. The only time I'd ever sung was karaoke, and no one likes being the person who tries to sing in karaoke, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and then just kind of went from there.
And what made you decide to start writing music with this person and then eventually putting an EP out? Was it a project that you took seriously? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we made it. We made it in his basement studio. He's a super talented producer, just needed vocals for some of his stuff. And then basically what ended up happening was after I learned I could sing, I played an open mic at the coffee shop near our place, and he was like, "Oh, hey, you can sing. Can you do vocals for this EP that I'm producing just for fun?" And then that's kind of how it went.
Wow. What gave you the courage to decide to like, okay, I realize I can sing. Now I'm going to go get in front of people at a coffee shop and do this?
That's a great question. I would love to know. Oh, a girl?
Yeah.
Okay. You were trying to impress her?
That's all I'll say about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have your own songs or was it just
No, just covers. At that point I had no idea how to write a song to save my life. I just knew basic chords and I knew lyrics, and that was it. And for some reason in my head, I had it in my head. I was like, "Oh yeah, this'll work."
Okay. So obviously you invited her to the show.
Yeah. She actually worked there. I hope she never listens to this or comes across this, because this is admitting my deepest, darkest secrets here, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm curious. So, do you know what songs she liked, and were you choosing songs based off that?
No, none of that. No, none of
Okay.
that. That's a little too High School Musical for me.
Well, I didn't know.
No,
I didn't know how far we
yeah.
could take this. Okay, so
Yeah, no.
so then this person finds, or the person you're doing the EP with, realizes you can sing, wants you to sing on the project, and then what comes of that, and if anything?
Not a lot, honestly. It was just it was a lot of fun, most of all. I mean, I had no idea of the mechanisms of recording EPs or anything like that, and he was the one at the computer just doing all of his like Ableton stuff.
Hmm.
We put it out, and it was just mostly our friends listened to it. It wasn't anything that we were like, this is going to be widespread commercial, official release. But yeah, that was sort of the
Okay.
purpose of it. Hmm.
And then did you go to then what college or anything for music, or like what happened next from putting that record out?
I went to college, but not for music. I went to college for communications.
Ah, just
Yeah,
like me. Very
totally
cool.
opposite. Oh, nice. See, that makes sense for you because now look at you. You're in this profession. That makes perfect sense. I'm just like I do music. What's up with that?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess this is well, communications is so broad. It was like, what do you do? I'm in communications, like, okay, and that could just mean like 10 million things. And to me, it meant I don't have to take math or science. Sign me up.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I finished my degree, and by the end of it, I still didn't know what to tell people when they were like, "What do you do in communications? What is that?" And I
Right.
just kind of be like, honestly, we just kind of pick apart pop culture. And a lot of the professors at SFU were very like they were super left leaning, and so a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
like a lot of our critical theory was based off of like Marx, Marshall McLuhan, like medium is the
Uh-huh.
message. Oh man, it was good stuff. Like it definitely
Ye-
it's definitely shaped the way I look at the world in a major way, and I still haven't decided if it's a good thing or not. I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of my professors were either at one point were like film producers, or
Oh
they
yeah.
did something like sound engineers, and it's like, and now you teach college. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
but anyway, that's cool. So communications, and then were you still doing music while getting your degree?
Yeah, on and off. Not with any seriousness. Same thing where I was just plucking around at home and covering songs more than anything. I wrote a lot, but it was never for the purpose of writing music. And I had no idea where to put it, basically, where I had all of this writing, and it's not like I was gonna, do like a chapbook or do like spoken word or anything. So it
Mhm.
was just kind of sitting there for a while, and then eventually the stars aligned, and I met Kaylin, and now here we are. And I think that's actually kind of all there is. Like those are the gaps to be filled. I didn't do anything really significant with music until
You explain these
between
gaps in
yeah, like between
your
then and
resume.
now. Gap in the resume. Yeah, no. That's
Can you
personal.
explain?
Yeah.
I was in high school.
I didn't know how to read.
What about you, Kaylin? How did you? So you were in band or anything aside from playing guitar?
Yeah. I picked guitar up in I don't know, around 13, 14.
Uh-huh.
And from there I couldn't tell you how I met them. I have no idea, but I just sort of started playing with some guys that I knew. I think I met them through like various music camps and such. And at one point, the guy was like, "Hey, I know this singer, except he's like kind of weird. Is that okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And he
You're like,
invited him to
weird
the practice.
how?
Well, he ended up being like he's one of my best friends now, and like
Oh, there you go.
he's doing music like crazy, and it's like yeah. But basically, he brought that guy to the practice, and then brought a couple of its other friends, and we're like, "Hey, we kind of sound like a band." So we did we did the little high school show kind of tour thing. Played a little bit after high school, but mostly once we graduated, it was like, all right, we'll split off and go our separate ways to learn all of our separate things.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that was kind of how I jumped. That was my jump off point. Learned a lot from playing in that basement, ordering a lot of pizza.
There you
So
go. And then did you go to school for music also, or no, or at all?
yeah. I
Okay.
went to school for. I did go to school. I went to school for computer science.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so I I did music all through that a lot, but I mostly just had no idea what I wanted to do. I've never like had a dream job. I don't know about you guys, but like I mean maybe like other
I
than
do not
musician,
dream of
but like
work.
I simply do not dream of labor. But like I never knew what I wanted to do. I think I always just kind of figured that I didn't really want to do much of anything for anyone else.
Okay.
And so it was like, why don't I just go learn a code and then just like know how to do that and do that sometimes. And yeah, that's how we got to where we are.
Okay. So you went to school for computers, but were you like working on your own music or like just by yourself, or were you in any sort of
Uh,
bands through college or no?
Not through college. Through college, I was mostly just doing college things.
Hmm.
Um, for a lot of the time until I took a little bit of a roundabout through college. I did 2 years of one degree at one place and then went, this is no fun. And I transferred out and went somewhere else. So once I got to that other place, that's when I kind of sort of met Stacy, and I had been making music and stuff, but mostly just for myself, you know, mostly just like as an exploratory kind of thing, because
Hmm.
I don't know, you get GarageBand around 13, but getting Logic is a totally different thing. So once I just sort of picked that up and started teaching myself it, and yeah, we went from there.
Well, how did you two meet? Have you ever met like in person, or did you guys meet in person and then go your separate ways? Uh-oh.
What are
Kayla,
you
you
doing?
go.
What's that?
Dude,
Oh, I know what that
what are
is.
you?
That's
Yeah.
me. That's I have to answer this question.
Toasty. Classic.
How did we meet? We met through the internet. We met through a mutual friend on the internet. So
A mutual
we
okay, hold on.
yeah.
So you both have a mutual friend
And
on
I
the
met that.
internet?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
this mutual
So
friend, have you either met the mutual friend in person?
yes. So
Oh, okay.
Stacy knew her in person. Um,
And
and
how did you meet the
she met
person?
her. She is funny. She actually met her in person the same week that I met her online. And I didn't meet her in some weird, I just keep saying I met online. I'm pretty sure we're on like tumblr.com or something.
Okay.
This would have been in like
Wasn't
2011,
the
right?
Craigslist back pages or anything
Yeah,
like
not just like searching for friends.
Okay.
but but yeah, and then it was one of those things where when you have a good friend and you just sort of end up over time following their friends, um, and over about 10 years of maybe accidentally interacting with each other once every 6 months online, it was like, oh, what's up, you make music, hey.
Oh, wow. So you had the mutual friend and knew of each other for 10 years?
Maybe not 10. I think I just picked a number that was bigger than
Oh,
5.
okay.
Because I
But
don't actually
A
know
still
long
how.
time though. For
a
sure
long
a long
Yeah,
time.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
yeah,
like a year. Right. Okay.
No,
So
no.
wow.
yeah.
So you knew this person was this somebody that you knew like in friends like growing up, Stacy, or no?
Yeah, so she was actually my very first friend that I made in university. Her name is Megan, and yeah, I actually met her. Very funny. I met her outside of like a gender studies midterm, which is so classic. I think there was like a fire. There was like a fire alarm that went off, so we got to leave mid midterm, which was just fantastic. And then
Mm-hmm.
her and I shot the shit, and eventually just became very very close friends. And just it just kind of went from there. So very what's the word? Serendipitous almost.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you find out, well, she's what on obviously online quite a bit, and then meets Kaylin, and then they have a friendship forms, and
Oh yeah.
eventually you guys start
Oh yeah.
talking. And
Yeah. So that like vague
okay.
sense of confusion that you have, that's
Uh-huh.
normal.
Okay.
That's really normal. I think we kind of just like sort of knew of each other and were maybe tangential, sort of somewhat friends for like 5, 6 years. And then Stacy posted like an Instagram story of a little like MPK keyboard or whatnot. And I was like, I have the same keyboard. We should make music, please. And
Oh, we just lost you for a
Yeah, we
sec.
lost you there for a second.
oh, weird. Bummer.
I
You
heard
have
you
the
say
same
something.
one.
Well,
I had
I
the
heard
same
the same
keyboard.
one. Yeah, same keyboard,
Yeah,
and then
same
you went away.
keyboard. And then I just said that we had the same keyboard and we should make music. And then we did. So
Okay.
yeah, pretty simple.
So then how does the group start? Do you start sending each other like pieces of music that you've written or songs that you've written?
Yeah, we started with covers because it just kind of seemed like the natural way to go. Um, and it was funny because we found ourselves sort of making the exact same choices when it came to certain sounds. And it worked really well, basically. And we kind of said to ourselves, this is actually really good, and neither of us have really done anything music wise since high school, and we both clearly love it and miss it. And for me personally, I was like, I have written so many things, and I'm like, I like writing, and I've never had anywhere to put it, and this feels like just so right, and it felt like a good avenue to put everything down basically, and then Bestfriend was born.
Okay. And then once you start, making music together, what is next? You put a song out online, and then have you guys ever met in real life? That's my first question.
Kicking this one
Bestfriend
down.
IRL.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have met in real life. So this isn't
Yeah.
like some postal service type group where you just
It
are
was.
like, well, you were.
It was at first.
Okay.
I think we had one meetup under our belt in less like maybe one when we put our first few songs out. And it wasn't music related, I want to say.
It's like half an hour at a bar, I think, with Megan.
Yeah. And we kind of just both bonded over like making fun of our mutual friend, and that's kind of all we had under our belts at the start. But eventually we organized some flights here and there, and I think we've done maybe like 5 or 6 sessions, or not sessions, like 5 or 6 sort of trips in one of the 2 places at this point.
Okay. What year did you guys start putting music out?
2018.
Okay.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So
yeah,
2018.
I was looking for confirmation from you, Stacey. I think 2018, late 2018, probably.
And then when do you get your first kind of like, success or validation to keep going doing this?
Well, I'd be interested to know what your answer to that is, Stacey.
Very slick. You think you're so slick.
I have an answer ready if you'd like me to. But
you have an answer.
I
think we both have different answers. Yeah.
All right, let's hear yours.
Yeah. So I think my whole thing with this was I didn't start this with the intention of being like, oh yeah, we're going to do this full time, like forever. At first it very much started as like, oh yeah, this is a cool guy, makes cool music, likes the same music that I do. Let's keep going with it. And then when we had our first release, I believe it was definitely 2018. It was Television 99 and 24. And we put it out, and I was like, oh, we actually have music out. This is amazing. Like this is cool. I think I actually want to do this. That was so much fun, and I want to keep doing this, and I want to build on this as much as I can. And so honestly, it was kind of right from the off that I kind of knew that I wanted to, quote unquote, do this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about you, Stacey? I mean, sorry. What about you, Caleb? What would you say?
Caleb?
Stacey.
Yeah.
Caleb.
Yeah. So for me, that band that I played in, a couple of the dudes from that era, or that sort of part of my life, ended up going on to be pretty wildly successful. Like Rob and Alex and Valley are 2 friends of mine who I grew up playing with, and seeing them have such cool success and like enjoy their lives so much. Even like before I started making music, it was like, I'd like to get back to that someday. And there was always sort of a bit of an understanding that it's like, someday I would like to get back to making music and hopefully playing it for people and maybe releasing it or something. And just sort of watching my friends like live that life and really enjoy it was really motivating.
Cool. And with like, what would you say like the song that like the biggest first kind of big milestone for you guys together would be?
Probably Doesn't Matter.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to LA. We wrote a song in LA. That was a fun one. So we've been in Vancouver a couple of times, in Toronto a couple of times, and once in LA just for fun because bands are supposed to go to LA, we thought. So we wrote it. We kind of started writing a couple songs there. We wrote our first single of the EP we just put out, Places I've Lived, there, and started writing this other one called Does It Matter. When we eventually got home and wrapped that one up and put it out, and I don't really remember what happened when we dropped it, but there was something shifted. I don't know if you know, Stacey. I don't remember really, but all I know is that was the first one we sort of got a little bit of editorial support for. People started to kind of notice a bit, and it was kind of like the beginning of us feeling like we actually figured it out, right? Like you start making music with a stranger online, across the frickin' country you've met twice, you're probably not going to be making something that you like want to write home about right away. You're going to take a while to kind of get each other's kind of try and figure out what the other's doing and like how you can best sort of build and reach a sort of collective final cool product or whatever. So that was like the final time or the first time we sort of really felt like we were doing that appropriately. And it was also, I guess, the first time that, we had a little bit of success, which is nice.
That's cool. And did you see it like, build it? Like, did you know it landed on a playlist, or like, how did that work?
Yeah, we landed on, well, the first single that we put out, Last Bus, ended up being put on Fresh Finds on Spotify, which was a big deal for us. And then
it's huge.
yeah, and then
first.
Yeah, it was Last Bus.
Yeah.
And then Kalen just has a tendency to forget anything we've ever put out. I'll be like, what are the chords to Doesn't Matter? And he'll be like, I don't know. And Doesn't Matter will I think Doesn't Matter, we ended up on like Soda, so that was one of their other editorial playlists, and a bunch of Discover Weekly, the algorithm picked us up, the capital A algorithm, and that was sort of around the time that we really started to make friends and connections, and like really meet a lot of very cool people in the industry, whether they were like DSPs or other artists. We kind of started making those connections, and then really kind of hit the ground running with making friends more than anything, and building a community. So yeah, I would definitely agree that Doesn't Matter was sort of the catalyst for us in a way.
And seeing like hundreds of thousands of streams on songs, was that something you went to your dad and were like,
nice.
look at this, like because he was a musician, right? He was in a band, and then to come back and say, hey, look, I'm doing this similar thing, and people are caring.
I always make the joke that I had to come out to my parents as like twice, and the second time was me coming out as someone who is in a band full time, having like immigrant parents.
That's such a good joke.
I know, right? It's my favorite one. So I actually didn't tell them, like I didn't really indicate that I was working on anything music related seriously until I think we ended up on the radio. Hannah in the City ended up on the radio, and I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta tell them about this. And then I did. And they were like, what are you, like, you've been doing this entire time and you just haven't told us? And I was like, well, I mean, I think it was good to no pun intended, come out of the gate with like a really strong first, like, hey, we're on the radio, so this is like, this is serious. This isn't just like,
it's not like, hey, I met this guy and he's on the other side of the country. Online, and we're gonna write songs together.
And I want to eventually quit my career in marketing.
I've already given up the career. I'm just doing this.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So was the song like actively on the radio and they could hear it? Or did they have a chance to hear it on the radio? That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it still is to this day, like plays on the radio every now and then, at least in Vancouver. And a few, I think, Toronto like college stations, from what I understand, and like New York, a few other places like that. I'm not really sure exactly where it is, because I feel like radio is like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Okay, well, also that. Your words, not mine.
Well, I came from radio. I did it for 17 years. I watched the ship sink firsthand. But sorry.
I could tell immediately from the way that you spoke into your mic. I was like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. Hey, like the way that he talks, like this is a radio voice.
I had the exact same thought. It's something about the consistency and the tenor of your voice. I was like, this guy's done this professionally for ages.
Oh yeah, wow. Well, thank you.
This is
awesome. Unfortunately, but that's so awesome though, to have your song played on the radio. I love hearing those stories, because to me, like doing radio for so long and just watching it kind of fizzle to the ground. I mean, it's still a powerful thing. I mean, it's free and everyone has access to it, but like hearing people say like, and then my song was on the radio, and it's just like, whoa, like that's so cool. And like, to me, that's awesome, because I remember playing songs from bands, and like, just when you're sitting in the booth and like you're not seeing anyone or hearing anyone, it's like kind of hard to like really, and you just get jaded to it. Like, yeah, okay, your song's on the radio, but it's like, it's such a big thing. If like, I had a song on the radio, it'd be freaking out. Like, it's just so crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And a really, really cool moment for us also was we were played on CBC, and I was on Twitter one day, and this guy from CBC had mentioned us in a tweet and was like, "Oh yeah, that was Bestfriend." And then I looked to see at the thread, and some totally random person that we had never heard of before was like, "Hey, you guys just played a song. I missed the name. I missed the name of the song and the band name. I think you said something about what did he say? She was like
It was something
Kate
silly.
Kate Jeffrey or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
it
you
was
said
something.
your
It was
name really
something
funny.
silly.
And it was like something about like a city. And the guy was like, "Oh, yeah, that was Hannah in the City by Bestfriend." And I was like, "Oh my god, someone actually like this is like the most tangible evidence that you could possibly get that someone heard you on the radio and liked you. Like it's like a Shazam, you know?"
Yeah, it's huge.
Because
That
yeah,
was a
bigger
good
than
day
a
for us.
stream, right? Yeah, that
It
was a great day
is.
for us. Yeah, huge day.
Yeah, it's bigger than a stream, and it's bigger than Shazam because that person actually has to actively go onto their phone to send a message out and say, "What was that song that just played?"
Exactly. Huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember getting calls like, "Who was that?" Like, and that I just thought that was so cool. I'm like, "Whoa, somebody's actually listening and cares. They want to know what song I just played." What a concept! Like, instead of me going, "All right, caller 9 is gonna get tickets to see blah blah blah," and then the whole
Yeah.
phone line lights up, and you're like, "Okay, none of you care. You just want tickets." So like, yeah, that's cool that to get that validation, especially like seeing it that way and with the internet and everything. That's awesome. Well, tell me, I mean, that record came out Places I've Lived last year. Is that right?
Last October, I think.
Okay. And were these songs, I mean, writing virtually, like how you guys have been working, like, how does the pandemic come into play, or did it even affect you as far as like the way your workflow went?
Oh, it affected us, but
Oh, I
not
mean,
our
aside
band.
from being stuck inside,
Yeah,
but not
yeah.
like affected your life, but like affected your music and your in working on your stuff.
Um,
Yeah.
I love this question because the answer is literally that it didn't affect us at all, in terms of our workflow. And it was actually a bit of a moment of like, oh, okay, so it's no longer interesting that we're making music remotely because literally every band ever was like, here's our Zoom cover of us in different rooms and
Oh yeah.
like zooming my bandmate who's living in another city and isolating right now. And we were like, okay, so that's the unique factor gone, basically. And that was fine because, you know, clearly I think, you know, for me personally, I was like, I still think we're neat, minus the cross country thing. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, like our workflow remained the same. And then once travel sort of became a thing that made sense, like, you know, we kept doing our, you know, flights here and there, and yeah, kind of kept it the same.
Okay. So then as far as like what about like the writing of the song, as far as kind of I don't know, the emotion maybe behind some of the songs, that it changed because of what you were going through as far as being, you know, isolated and all that was happening around the world? Like, were you feeling that and putting it out through your music at all?
Yeah, I would say that Doesn't Matter was a big reflection of that. I had started writing it pre-pandemic, and then we finished it post, like everything basically just going to, you know,
Right.
am I allowed swearing on this?
Oh yeah, of
Going to
course.
shit. Yeah, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Going to shit. And we definitely wrote that sort of from a perspective of like, oh wow, it feels like the world is legitimately ending right now, and like we don't know what to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was definitely that aspect of it, and in a lot of like that song in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we have a lot more songs like that are super, you know, pandemic centered because
Pandemic-y.
we already like
Pandemic-y?
we all know there's a global pandemic. We are
Right.
aware. You don't need another like band telling you about, you know,
About social
COVID.
distancing or
Yeah,
something?
exactly. Yeah. Write a song about
Yeah.
social distancing or whatever.
I know. Who knew it was going to be pretty much fairly similar to 2 years in, but
Mm.
unfortunately, here we are.
It's funny
Well,
going back. Sorry, continue.
no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's funny going back and seeing stuff from like the first week and being like day 5 of quarantine, day 6 of quarantine. It's like, oh, you fools.
Yeah, day
Yeah, yeah.
600 of quarantine.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear about You Want Everyone to Love You. And I mean, that song's massive, especially on Spotify. And with that, was that another playlist situation? Was that a radio play situation? Tell me about that one.
It was. Do you want to take this?
I don't need to.
I didn't see
Okay.
anyone doing this.
You're right.
There was no one doing that. I think we were both comfortable taking it.
Okay,
You
all
want me to
right.
take it? All right, I'll go. We usually just sort of like stare daggers at each other. This is a new thing I think that Stacey's trying, and I think I like it. So
is this new for this podcast, or did this start earlier?
I don't think this started earlier. I think we usually just sort of like look at each other funny.
I've tried it before, but no one understood what I was trying to do. So I just kind of awkwardly passed it off as a nose scratch.
Oh, so this is the first time I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
When I was talking last time, I thought you were being like, you hit it right on the nose.
Yeah.
But then I realized that he picked it. He picked it up. Was like, oh, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Now I'm watching the sign
this
language.
This was a team experience.
In front of me.
Yeah,
I like this. I'm glad we workshopped this out. Okay.
Yeah, that song. So that song was funny because we started that song off. It was never even supposed to exist. We liked the idea of writing an intro track to the EP. Just to kind of, I don't know, we liked the idea of 6 better than 5 for an EP, and we're like, let's do something like pretty low key, definitely low stress, low brain power. Let's just like something ambient to kind of like, I don't know. That was sort of the only direction we had. And then we started and we tried a couple of things here and there weren't originally going to be a lot of lyrics. And I don't know what happened along the way, but there were a couple of accidental discoveries of like sounds that went really well, or I think I don't even remember exactly how it happened. I just know that it wasn't supposed to exist, and then a week later we were like, oh, okay, so this is our favorite song. We had to like, we weren't gonna use it as a single. It wasn't gonna be anything, and then we got it to a point where it was about like a minute and a half, 2 minutes long, and it was like, all right, this is interesting. And then Stacey was like, all right, but what if you just made the ending go insane? And I was like, oh, okay, like that sounds awesome, tell me more. And she was like, I can't. you should just do a lot of stuff. And so I kind of just went crazy. I listened to a lot of artists that I like, that I've picked up on their propensity for like big buildups and stuff over the years. I went and studied them like crazy, and then sat down one day and I was like, all right, I'm writing a big end to this song and no one can stop me. Brought it to Stacey. She liked it a lot. I think she kind of had the idea to layer some of the vocals in there. And away to the races. We ended up having to pitch it because we realized we had to pitch something with the EP, and we hadn't thought about that yet. We're like, well, we have 3 songs left. We should definitely do this one that was supposed to be a minute long, and then 2 minutes long, and then 3 minutes long, and now it's 4 minutes long. And we asked a couple of people, and we were like, what do you think? Is this too much? And they're like, nah, give it a go. People will love it. Yeah, I'm not so sure. It's kind of like Taylor Swift doubting, not to compare ourselves to Taylor Swift. My goodness. But like how people were like,
I love Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift's the best. I love Taylor Swift. That's a different conversation.
Oh, don't even get him started.
I want to start a whole podcast just interviewing musicians about Taylor Swift, because like I have had this conversation so many times, and it's like, okay, we can't go on this 50-minute tangent about Taylor Swift.
we could definitely do that.
Oh,
we'll volunteer. We'll volunteer as your first guest. Yeah.
Okay.
But like how people were like, oh, you can't put out All Too Well. Like people won't like it. It's a little different. It's not. It ended up being our most popular song.
Oh yeah, so, the 10-minute version.
Sort of, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Real quick, just because I have to say it, her performance of that song on Saturday Night Live is honestly God, the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Is when it comes to like television and artists playing on TV. Best.
For me, it's that and Maggie Rogers' Falling Water, and those two, I think, just like they are ingrained in my head forever as like 2 of the greatest SNL performances just of all time.
Right.
Yeah,
just
really good stuff.
I mean, I rewatched it and I was like, oh, like I had to rewatch it like 3 more times. I'm like, this is insane. And then I texted it to my friend who's not even a Taylor Swift fan. He's a music fan, but he's into totally different stuff than that. And I'm like, dude, you need to watch this. And he's like, it's good. Like that's all I got out of it. But I was like, it was so good. I needed to let somebody else know about it. Like when I was done watching it, I was like, oh my God. But sorry. Okay. We're going to go back to your song in your band. But, so that one, just, you wanted to pitch it with the record? Were you trying to get the album like on a label? Like, what do you mean by that?
We're just pitching it. everywhere, because generally especially with DSPs, the way that it works is you pitch one single from the EP to be kind of the hero single of the EP. And then, if they like it, they'll use that, or they'll, sometimes they'll pick another song from the EP and be like, actually, we like this one instead. And then for Spotify in particular, what ended up happening was we pitched You Want Everyone to Love You, and we then were like, okay, EP's out. And we were only really thinking about it in the context of, EP is out. And then You Want Everyone to Love You was suddenly just like everywhere. And we have no idea, like, we still don't really we don't know how exactly, like, what did you just remember?
I just remembered that we did the EP. So again, this is our first EP ever. We're just making it up as we go. And no, we weren't necessarily looking for a label at that point, because we were still so like fresh faced that it was like, yeah, let's screw up a bunch first. Why not? Because it's like the most fun way to do it. Anyways, the thing that I remembered was that we released this EP, I think, like less than a month after we released Hannah in the City as the single before it. And we were so stoked about Hannah in the City. And we're like, we think this is a great song. We think people are going to like this song. And we released it as a single. And then that's kind of when we went, oh, wait, we already released it as a single. We can't push it again for the EP. Like, with the EP out so shortly after, it's like we need to kind of have a different story to tell. And so like the EP dropped, and we're like, oh man, I really hope like Hannah in the City gets some love. I really hope maybe I don't know, it'd be nice to get some streams on that. And then, like, by the end of the week, we're like not thinking about that at all. It's like, oh, okay, so we just ignored that one, and we're doing this other thing, and that's fine. This is super fun. I'm loving it. So it was kind of just a big accident.
Yeah, we woke up and we were like, okay, so You Want Everyone to Love You is currently like New Music Friday, like Lorem, Indie Pop and Chill, like was being sprinkled all over Spotify editorial places, and we're like, what is happening? Like,
this wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, which is
but it was
really
great.
Funny. Yeah, no complaints.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you have a new song is someplace else coming out in what, a few days? Am I getting confused?
5 days.
5 days. Comes out on Wednesday, right?
March 30th. Yeah.
Wednesday, March 30th.
Okay. Tell me about that song. And is that just a single, or is that going to be on a new EP coming out?
Yes. Did you? Okay, fine.
Oh yeah, we both did.
God, okay. It's a single off of the EP2.
Right.
So
the sister
it is going
EP,
to be on the EP.
from what I
Yes,
read.
The sister EP. Places I've left. Sorry.
Okay.
But Someplace Else is, I would say, our sunniest song yet.
Okay.
Kalen started writing it, and he sent it to me, and I was like, oh my god, this is so happy. And we're so used to writing lyrics that are like, oh, my name is Stacy and I'm sad about this, and like unrequited love and growing up and blah blah blah. But then this one was like, oh, you know what, I'm in love, and this feels great, and I am so happy. And ended up just expanding on that. And then the chorus, the chorus was really funny. Like, I ended up, like, we half wrote the chorus, so he wrote the first bit of the chorus, like the melody and stuff, and then I was like, what if we added like the I don't know why I'm doing that as if you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about, but the second half I was like, what if we added this part? And then we did, and now this song is coming out and we're really excited for it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this is the EP done, or is it is just the EP has this vibe of more of an upbeat sound, and it's going to be the second half of
so the EP, yeah, that's funny. We have
every
it,
time you do that, I'm like, is she okay.
Yeah. So we have it all written out, and all sort of basically we sort of look at the two EPs as like sister EPs. We kind of just wanted to make a collection of all of our, it's almost just like brain dumping before we made a big album, It was like, let's just talk about all these things that we have in common, or these experiences that we want to write about. Like, let's all the things that we've been building up for like our whole life. You know how there's that thing about like, oh, the first thing an artist puts out is everything they've worked on, and then their second thing is everything they worked on after that. It was kind of just like
the first record is you have your whole life to write your first album in like a year or something to write the second one.
Exactly. But I think that we were both kind of just like, I don't know if I've actually written anything very good yet. So let's just like go through all of those ideas and like just tell a bunch of stories. So we have all of those stories. We've had them kind of set out for a while. It was just about kind of planning the cadence of releasing them and getting them sounding better, like mixed and mastered and what. But yeah, the stories are written. They just need to be told.
And with the second half, is that more is the whole record going to be more upbeat? Is that kind of the purpose of it or the theme of it or no?
So if the first one, I think we were a little bit more pretentious than that with how we wanted to look at themes. I think we looked at the first theme a little bit like, okay, so that honestly, a lot of that record is written probably about being not sober and at university and really sad. And a lot of this EP, the second half of it, is almost like kind of looking. So that if that one's looking back, this one's like looking forward. And it's more of a daytime EP. There are definitely a few more sunny songs. It's I would call its disposition generally brighter than its sister.
Okay, a little happier.
Yeah, just a little, as much as you can afford.
Yeah, there you go.
There's one song though. There's one song that is just absolutely like, to me, is like a devastatingly sad song.
I forgot.
So, I don't know what you're talking about there, but
okay.
I wouldn't say. I feel like I wouldn't shoehorn the EP into like happy versus sad, but it's certainly like a lot less retrospective. Is that the looking back word?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, retrospective. Yeah, it's like a lot less reflecting and more oh shit, what next? Like, what are we supposed to do? That kind of thing.
Okay. Well, now I'm curious to ask about this song that's really sad. Is it something you can share? I mean, like,
yeah, it's a song. Yeah, I can share about it. I don't know when it's gonna be out. I think I know exactly what it's called. It's a song called Matador that I wrote 2 years ago. While I had 2 broken feet. So that was like the headspace I was in.
How do you break both feet?
Yeah, that's what I asked. I still don't know to this day. Yeah.
Separate incidents a week apart.
Consistency.
Yeah. The first one was skateboarding while not knowing how to skateboard.
Okay.
And the second one was lugging around a boot and being bad at taking stairs.
Oh man.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you end up with 2 broken feet, and then how do you get around? Do you have to get a wheelchair?
It was bad. I was mostly just like, I don't know. The one happened like a week after, so it was like at least the one started to heal like a tiny bit. And it was also the dead middle of winter too, and I was in university, so I didn't really have to go anywhere. Because computer science, right? You not go to class. You sit there being
on the computer,
big geek all day on the computer. So it was like, I didn't really have to get around too much at all, to be honest.
Okay.
And when I did, it was double crutched and hobbly.
Oh man! So you broke both your feet. You're in a space, and then you write the song. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a pretty dark space.
I'm laughing because it's just a great way to put it. And then we just wrote this song that we sat on for a while, and we're like, this is gonna go on the first EP. And we're like, I don't think so. It's too dark.
Okay.
Which is funny that we're gonna put it on the second one, but it'll work. You'll see.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I can't wait to hear the rest of it. I've had a chance to listen to someplace else, and it's a great song. So like I said, I can't wait to hear the rest of it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And what about playing like live shows? Is that a thing that you guys are able to do, or is that not something you've thought about? Or
that's the dream. Yeah. So we'll get there. We didn't want to start pushing live shows until it felt like the world was ready for it, like really ready. We're both like, we love live shows. I think that's
sorry. He means in the sense of the global pandemic. He's not saying until the world is ready for Bestfriend. I feel they need to clarify that.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Oh my God.
I was almost going to make a joke, but I'm like, I know exactly what he's saying. So I'm not going to even put that out there. I'm so
glad you clarified
and
then oh my God. It's like having a piece of spinach in your teeth and everyone knows. I was going to be like,
when will the world be ready?
Oh my God. Basically, we just didn't want to like make any concessions with what we thought the experience would be and stuff. And we're like, we are in no rush right now. So let's just wait until we're allowed to do it right. And then when we're allowed to do it right, we can go full force into it. So if you follow that logic, sometime this year.
Very cool. And are you still living in 40 hours driving apart?
Yeah, I'm in downtown Toronto right now. Sorry, I was away from the mic there, but I'm in downtown Toronto right now. Stacey's in Vancouver. But at the end of the summer, I'm actually going to be moving out west. So not to Vancouver, but to Vancouver Island, to Victoria, which is kind of just, I don't know. How would
It's
you
like he
describe
threw
Victoria?
a ball and like missed. It's like, okay, I guess, yeah, no.
Yeah, that was close enough. Like, yeah. Yeah, one shot to just throw a ball across Canada, apparently. But yeah, so I think that's sort of, we're thinking, all right, well, end of the summer, I'm going to be coming out west. We're going to be a lot closer. I bet the world will be a bit safer. I bet we'll have a couple of singles out by that point. That sure does sound like maybe possibly touring time. So
awesome.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Very, very cool. And I appreciate both of your time today. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Real quick, actually, Stacey, I want to know, you said your sister's like a piano prodigy. Does she play piano still? I mean, professionally, is that her gig? And has she ever helped you on the records or anything, or just not helped you, but like collaborate with you at all?
She is in, I want to say, molecular biochemistry or something ridiculous like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so the answer is no. But I have said to her a few times, I'm like, oh man, you should just be our touring pianist. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So, who knows? Maybe
That's
we'll have
cool.
two Kims on tour.
Well, that's my sister's in science field too, and she is a really good piano player, and just something I think that it sounds like your sister and my sister have the same sort of like brain-ish.
Cool. Maybe they know each other.
Probably not, but I'm just saying, like, my mind could not do that. Like, science is no dice. I can't do like sight read piano, and yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, she is. She is like just scary smart and very good at like logic, which I think makes so much sense when it comes to piano and theory and being able to memorize notes and like accidentals and all of that. And she just is like, yeah, she's always put anything in front of her and she'll be like, oh yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll see her on the road with you.
Yeah.
On anyway.
Jessica Kim, 2K22.
Nice. Well, again, I appreciate you both doing this. I have one more quick question. If I can get an answer from each of you, I don't know who's gonna go first, but
I'm scared.
do you have any advice for aspiring artists? Ooh, she got
absolutely.
you.
That's all right. I'm always ready to give advice, even if you don't want it. Is advice for aspiring artists. Honestly, my big thing is like, just go for whatever makes you happy in whatever capacity. Like, you don't have to make something that's like, you don't have to be immediately productive, super productive right away. I kind of just think as long as you're saying yes to the opportunities and the things that you are like curious about and interested in often enough, you'll kind of eventually just accidentally build a cool little world for yourself. So that's what I would say.
Love that.
I would say make friends, be nice, build a community, right? Because that's what all of this is about, really. It's kind of about building community and making friends and kind of saying, okay, yeah, this is a tough industry. This is tough as hell, and life is tough to live. So we should all kind of be supporting each other where we can, and making friends where we can. So don't be afraid to reach out to people. I think, a lot of the times people tend to be pretty precious about, resources and connections that they may have, because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, if this person is more successful than I am, then maybe it means I won't be as successful. But that is just simply not the case. There's always going to be space for you to succeed, no matter who you are, and no matter who else succeeds before you. Think about all the new artists that are out there right now that you'd never heard of like 3 years ago, and how much they've been blowing up, right? So it's never going to be the same people who are successful, and it's never going to be it's not a there's no cap, basically. There's no cap to success. Yeah.
Kill the scarcity mindset.